Will the Sony a7S IV be a bold update over the a7S III, or a modest update designed not to step on the toes of the a7R5 or the a9 Mark III? Well, stick around after this short message as we forecast what's going to happen with the Sony a7S IV. But first, subscribe to this channel for a chance to win a Canon EOS R5. I'll be giving one away to one lucky subscriber once this channel reaches 100,000 subscribers. Anyone above the age of 18 with a valid mailing address is eligible. Additional terms and conditions are linked in the description down below. While we have rumblings from Sony Alpha rumors for a couple of months now about some wild specs for the Sony a7S IV, they aren't as wild in the sense of being a bold new camera, but wild in the fact that they're unconfirmed and not from trusted sources. And what we're forecasting that Sony's going to do with the a7S IV is exactly that, provide us with a modest update over the predecessor, the a7S III, not delivering groundbreaking specifications to take on the Nikon Z8 or the Canon EOS R5, let alone the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. You see, Sony is well aware of their product segments and they have a lot of cameras. It's a very crowded space. And they're going to be very careful not to step on the toes of the recently announced Sony a9 Mark III or the previously announced last November of the Sony a7R5. And while we don't believe the specs being circulated on Sony Alpha rumors, they do show that the marketplace also isn't expecting a bold upgrade over the a7S III. I mean, just look at these specs. And let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Does a 19 megapixel sensor, full frame stacked sensor, similar to the one in the FX9, does that sound like a bold update? Now this is supposed to have a 2-layer transistor and a large photodiode, so it captures a lot of light, but it's 19 megapixels, an upgrade over 12, but not a bold update. And not to step on the toes of the a9 III, it's not getting a global shutter, and there's no anti-aliasing filter. Now in terms of video, it does have some modest video capabilities. 6K up to 120 frames per second, 6K 60, 6K 50, and all the basic frame rates in 6K. But we also get oversampled high detail 4K up to 120 frames per second. And what Sony's telling us with these video specifications is, yeah, we just don't see the need for 8K. And when I say 8K, even myself, when I produce videos, I only produce one video that actually outputted in 8K. But as a video editor, to have 8K video coming into your editing suite with all that information gives us so many opportunities to crop in, to be able to downsample. And downsampling from 6K to 4K is great. But downsampling from 8K to 4K, well, it gives us more flexibility. But Sony's telling us that, well, people don't want that. Are they betting wrong? I think they are, because here we are at the end of 2023 and we have some 6 or 7 cameras under $4,000 that are doing 8K video, and several of them are doing 8K RAW, including a big competitor to the Sony a7S III, the Canon EOS R5, as well as the Nikon Z8. Now back to the photo specifications, we can see that this camera is capable of 8 stops of IBIS, has dual native ISO up to 25,600. Which isn't that impressive. I would expect 51,200 at this point. And the EVF is slightly improved, it's got better ergonomics, and the price point for this camera, and the price is going to be somewhere between $34.99 and $39.99. So is this a bit of a Debbie Downer? Well, no, not really. You've got to look at Sony's stratospheric rise with the mirrorless camera line. When they first came out, people were laughing at them, but look at where they are now. They're solidly in second place with something like 26 or 27% market share of shipped units worldwide. And that's second to Canon at around 47%, with Nikon in a distant third, somewhere around 11 or 12%. So Sony's made, well, they've made some pretty good decisions. They've made some pretty good choices. But one of the things that Sony has done is they've segmented their line, and recently in 2023, they're no longer discounting their cameras to the competition. You see, Sony's arrived and they know they've arrived, so they're charging as much as the competition. So we're not getting those price breaks anymore. And we're also not getting a company that's coming out every year, every other year with brand new leading bold technology. They're segmenting their cameras because they don't want a camera coming out and cannibalizing other lines. And that's one of the reasons why we haven't been seeing firmware updates for previous cameras. Because why? Well, they don't want to take away sales from newer cameras. And that's not necessarily good for you and I, but it's certainly good from a business standpoint. But there's another reason why Sony's doing really well. Unlike Nikon and Canon, Sony is visiting retail stores, and not just the ones in the big cities. I reached out to a local camera store recently, and they told me that Sony had been visiting their store. They had visited their store 5 times in the last year. And Canon and Nikon? Nothing at all. And as a content creator myself, Sony actually offered me 20% off gear, like the a7S III. And that's a bold discount. Canon? Yeah, not really much of anything at all. I mean, other than what you're seeing out there on the marketplace, or what I'm able to get and negotiate with my local camera store as part of a corporate discount. But Canon directly, I'm not really getting anything, and same with Nikon. In fact, when it comes to actually producing content, they want to stay away from me. They're not interested in engaging us, and I think that's the difference with Sony. Sony sees YouTube, social media, as a way to engage, so they've been able to raise the prices, increase the demand for the cameras, increase their market share significantly, up to around 27%. All this because they're firing on all cylinders. They're doing something that Nikon and Canon aren't. Nikon and Canon are afraid to reach out to, how should we say, influencers or social media producers, because it's just seen as, well, not favorable. If you want to be a professional camera manufacturer of producing high quality, high grade cameras and lenses, we don't want to get down into the gutter with those people. And for me, it's a little bit different because I cover news and I forecast the camera industry. They don't like the fact that I'm talking about stuff that might be coming out, and a lot of companies don't, but it's an essential part of the marketplace. To be able to forecast what's coming out over the next 6 to 12 months is important. But at least Nikon's coming around a little bit, because if you recall, when we had the Nikon Z8 announcement, I was actually able to get Nikon Canada to come on the show and field questions from viewers after the embargo was lifted. And that's a big deal here. Is it's not just about producing really good cameras, about really good lenses, offering a good price point. It's about offering a whole ecosystem, an ecosystem of lenses, of experts, of content, but also engaging content producers, reaching out to new channels, not just marketing in traditional means. And when is the last time you saw an ad or a television commercial or even a radio ad for a Canon camera or Nikon camera? And yes, I have heard some Canon radio ads recently, and you know what they were for? The Mega Tank. That's right, printer division, nothing about cameras. And you see, YouTube, the cost to advertise on YouTube is so much less than these other means, and because of YouTube's analytics, these companies are able to better target, well, you and me, and that's something that Sony's been doing very, very well. So while the Sony a7S III might seem like a rather modest update and not as exciting based on the competition, they're offering a full package. They're offering everything, and they're reaching out to everybody to get this out to the marketplace. And I think that the Sony a7S IV is going to sell very, very well. Just like the Sony a7 IV, well, has pretty much topped the charts. That camera has sold very, very well since it was announced about 1.5 years ago. And I think Sony is doing an incredible job. Just look at the a7C II and the a7CR. I thought that segment was a little bit overcrowded, but from what we're seeing in some early sales numbers, at least coming from Asia, the a7C II is one of the top selling cameras, at least at Yodobashi. But that's it for now. If you're looking at purchasing camera gear, such as anything I talked about in this video, from Adorama, B&H, or Amazon.com, then please consider using my affiliate links down below in the description, or these ones right here, because it really does help fund this channel. It helps this channel, doesn't cost you anything, and it allows me to purchase gear such as the upcoming Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the Canon EOS R1, the 200 to 800 millimeter, which I hope to have this Friday, along with some other lenses that I'm hoping to be able to purchase in the first quarter or second quarter of 2024. What about the Canon RF 35mm f1.2 or f1.4? And if you're a Sony customer, I know you've already got great lenses like this, but on the Canon ecosystem, right now it's closed off to third parties. We are hoping that that's going to change sometime in February with a big Sigma RF announcement. But for now, all we have is what Canon's offering us, or we can adapt much older EF lenses using Canon's EF to RF adapter, which is quite affordable. And I actually have it right here somewhere. there it is. It's been sitting on the shelf for the better part of, well, a year or two now, because I've basically sold off a lot of my EF lenses and upgraded. So yeah, hopefully that does change soon. We're hearing a lot of noise about that. But thank you so much for watching. And for those of you that have used my affiliate links, thank you so much. It means an awful lot to me. It's one of the reasons why I'm able to produce the content I am with the tools that I have. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great weekend, or this is probably coming out on Monday, so have yourself a great week, and we'll see you again soon.